Okay, so we've had it all now. I want to hear from Mr. John Alexander Akon, who's the Deputy Minister, Gender, Children and Social Protection. I'm grateful that you could join me this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Because I saw you whilst Ban Ki-moon was speaking, you kept nodding. So maybe there's something that you want to say.
Yes, exactly. And I was nodding first because Ban Ki-moon is a man. And was talking about women issues.
Yeah.
And more importantly, what does it take the Secretary General of the United Nations to talk about it? Which implies that the issues of women has taken a center stage in the global politics and social development. And therefore it has received our attention. Why should we create a day for women? And if you are listening to the woman commissioner, she said that after 20 years, I'm sure you know what she's referring to. She's referring to Beijing plus 20, 1995 to date. So what have you achieved? What's the purpose of that direction? And how are we going? If you are listening critically, it says that 70% of the women in Africa are those who till the land and produce the food. But they are still poor. So the economy is bad, yet they produce. So how come it is bad? What are the issues? What are the causes of that development? And if you look at even the Millennium Development Goals, if you look at them critically, the issues, poverty, having poverty, how many women are in poverty as compared to men? Maternal mortality, is it not women? And even for infant mortality, who bear the brunt a little bit? Yes, we produce it, we do it, but who carries the load and eventually loses the child? So it does emotional and torture and trauma who goes through very strongly. So women are highly incapacitated in their social upbringing. So there are so many things we are doing, but there's a larger perspective we want to look at. She spoke about female genital mutilation. Who suffers it? Why the men continuously go to circumcision? The women go to female genital mutilation. Why? So we need to get across a whole lot of issues. Now, who creates that situation? Is it the families or the society at large?
Is it the men?
Who are part of the larger society. So basically, the society creates it. If you go to cultural values, we need to look at what has impeded the rights of women. And mostly it is because when we all started, it is like women are for the kitchen. While the men go to play football, they go to schools and things like that.
You know, we've been saying this for a while now. Hasn't the situation changed?
It hasn't changed. The impact is very small. It hasn't changed drastically as expected. If you are listening, there's a bit of an improvement. But gender parity is still a problem, far off, which we should help to equal. But the point basically is this. And I'll make some few examples to bring it clearer to you, so that you see the impact of societal behavior towards women. If you take education, let's go to Tech, KNUST, Kivas and Legon. You remember that until very recently, there was only one hall for women at KNUST, Africa. As against about 5 halls for men. Voter hall as against 5 halls for men. The question to ask yourself is that, in those times until now, when voter gets full, no more admissions for women. Until very recently, that was the picture. So it implies that for even admissions to the higher schools of learning, it was 5:1. Now, if you want to see the bigger picture, go to law school now and look at it. Women outnumber the men. Because now we have mess halls, we have hostels, you can come from your home to the school. So for all those years, 5:1 inequality, how do we close up that gap?
Okay, but isn't it also because women were probably not interested in the past, or they didn't get the opportunity? So now it's more of, if I want to do it and I can do it, then I go for it.
If you want to do the mathematics, it's simple. How come it was 5:1, and when the hall gets full, no more admission, and therefore women were restricted?
Okay, that's a very important question.
And then when you come today, how come when they liberalized, if you like, they made the hall miss, women are now there competing very strongly with the men? So opportunities were not accorded to women at those stages. And because opportunities were not there, they could not be adequately educated like the men. So in normal competition, they will always lose out. Now, in America, they have a system, and we have it in terms of discrimination. They call it equal employment opportunity. It's a law.
Okay.
And it is to address the issues of the minorities and issues of women, disability. You don't discriminate on employment by religion, race, and all that. Women, disability, you don't discriminate. So, America, you have to justify. Indeed, if you're doing contract for the government, there are conditions attached in terms of your employment. And that condition, you are going to sign as contract before you do it. But here there's no compulsion.
Okay, so is that the equivalence of the affirmative bill that we're trying to push now?
The affirmative bill is, if you follow what I've told you earlier, in the universities and the cultural and societal setup, we created an inequality. It's a gap. And inequality is a reverse discrimination. If you discriminated and as a result minorities did not get positions, you have to reverse that discrimination. That's a positive one, to create at least a bit of an equity.
Okay.
So the affirmative action bill is supposed to break the gap between the men and the women.
Okay.
It creates an appreciable amount of parity, of equity, so that will rub shoulders. Now you would realize that a lot of the women go to radio, and you will say it's radio, media, and look at the host of programs. If you compare, I'm sure you're going to get 90% to 10%, if not less.
Yeah.
How come? What are preventing the women from coming? Is it the household chores which they do for the men? What is not making them very confident for most of them to come? Is it because we have injected, or if you come and advance your argument on radio, you'll be classified as a witch? Why is she talking this way as a woman? Have you gone across that one? No, we are still doing it. So the stereotyping we need to stop along the line.
Is it the stereotyping alone, or do we also, because once you talked about, is it the house chores that we have to do for the men? It got me thinking, because it's not easy for me to wake up and be here every morning. What can we do?
Yes.
Because if you have a family, you can't say that you won't take care of them.
So the two of you have a family, a man and a woman. No one person has that family. So I comfortably wake up, do something for me to eat, and I rush to the studio. When I go back, I want to eat. Meanwhile, the woman have to drive the children to the school mostly, and all that. So what opportunities are there for them in comparison? So in that treatment setup of the household, which is very general, are we fair? And are we creating equal opportunity, which the word is all about?
Is it a situation created by the man, or this is tradition?
That's what I told you. If it's tradition, there's a larger society. So society is responsible. Because it is not one man's house. It is general view. People are doing well. We are coming out very strongly, but our pace is too slow. So the societal behavior that is working on it. So society has to solve a problem created by the same society. So it's not a man, it's not a woman, it's a societal creation. When it's a culture, it has been created by an analyzed society. How do we solve it? Society should come together and help in solving it, so that we close the gap. It's a very serious one.
Can I zero in just a little of time, maybe about 30 seconds on yourself? How does it work in your home?
Personal?
Yes.
Oh, very, very simple. Incidentally, I have 4 girls and a boy.
Okay.
4 girls. And I tell you, they are very strong girls. They can put me on check very well. And I love it because when they were even small, I gave them freedom of expression. And therefore, asking questions, doing all that wasn't a problem at all for me. As a result, they matured earlier than their real ages. And I thought I stood the benefits.
Okay.
Likely, I had a small opportunity of one of my child, who's now 16 years, a daughter, having stayed precisely in the States. He came to Ghana, and one day when I went to the house, we were talking with a cousin. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm teaching him magical words. And I said, what are magical words? He said, I'm sorry, excuse me, thank you, I appreciate that. So it's a powerful tool for me. I've seen it in reality in my own children. So I think that given the opportunity, they could be
Would you prepare breakfast for yourself or lunch, or if you got home and there was no food, would you be angry?
No, I've never fought over food as a person. I wouldn't wake you up if I come late for you to come prepare food for me. It doesn't excite me. It's me, so everybody. If I should come late, why should I wake you up and do that? I'll create my own conveniences. If I have to eat it, fine. If not, if I have to eat outside and come, that's fine. Because I don't get comfortable. I don't really enjoy the food. If I have to wake you up just to come and eat some food for me. So I don't even enjoy it. Normally, if I want to come late, I will come late. I tell you, I come with a key, open, and then you sleep.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me in your personal life to sit for a little. But I want us to talk about these jobs that you intend reserving, because this is also contained in this affirmative bill.
Yeah.
How is this going to work?
Right. Don't say we intend. It's Ghana that has to talk.
Yeah, but you're starting the campaign, so I want to understand where you're coming from.
Because we are sponsoring the bill because of our role, and that is why the ministry's mandate was expanded for women and children to gender, children, and social protection. It's simple. How do you get everybody in the country to understand that there's a disparity, there's an equity problem, there's inequality. And let me create this, and if you want to know, in terms of social development, if government want to put up schools, I just want to use that to bring home the issue. If government want to create schools, let's say Greater Accra, or Accra particularly, has about 50 schools. And then you do model schools or whichever schools, one each in every district. What have you done to the inequality? Nothing. I mean, the differences between Central or, let's say, Upper West is about 10. And then you do 1, 1, 1, 1. You have still not done anything in terms of equality. The equity is still there. The difference is still there. You have not created. But we should be seen to be bridging the gap. So what it means is that we hear people talking about they should go on competence, on their own competence, what they call meritocracy.
Yeah.
But the point is that
I've been advocating for that.
Yeah,
I think it should not just be given to us.
Yes. But the point is that there's an assumption in that position. And the assumption is that every man who contests for any position finds himself in government, in parliament, is competent. That's what we are saying, which is not true. So it is right in some sense, but in terms of comparison...
But isn't parliament a special case?
It is. So if you want to support the women to go, why should competency become a measure? Because all those who are there, they don't ask of their competence. Nobody tests anybody's competence. Why should they now go through that situation? So what's a special case? Don't change the rules. Everybody wants competence. But the point is that that measurement should be equal to everybody. So that also becomes another point of discrimination if you should go for it. So we need to close the gap created by society. How do we do it? Gaps are filled to address the issues of the minorities who have been used to heal the land and draw water for the development of society. South Africa, who are not given equal opportunity. So he says that if it's South African Airlines and you are employing, then 50% of the employees have to be blacks. Simple as that. What it means is that you have to do your interviews, but as of compulsion, there should be blacks. And if you get those who have high flyers among the blacks, you give them the training in normal job environment, give them training, they could also do. That's what they need to bridge the gap. And that's what we should be doing to close the inequality gap.
So what are you looking at? Is it public institutions
yes,
or you're looking
for now,
at
because
private
of that,
public?
It's going to be public, but it has not come out. Parliament may even decide that let's extend it by law to all other organizations. In the US, it's compulsory. You do that. There's a body who has to come and see that whether even in promotions there's a discrimination. For example, if there are disabled people here and you are doing competency tests for promotion, and then all of them in the disability class don't qualify, and everybody that qualify, you may need to make a report as to why, whether it was a discrimination or indeed it was based on merit. So similarly, that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay. Is this what women need?
You see, the moment is like confidence. You know science, you know Exodus. What happens is that water flows from a higher potential to a lower potential, if you know it. If not, there wouldn't be any flow. Electricity the same way. Exodus, the flow is from Africa and other areas to Europe and the US because of higher potential of poverty and that. So there's always a flow. Now, the moment between me and you, we are in Accra, sitting on telly. There are people in Accra walking. Somebody lives in a village somewhere. You see him in town, we cannot move about because I've not seen this number of cars passing again. People will laugh at him. Is that right? It is only because you are not appreciating the opportunity you have and the opportunity the person hasn't gotten. And therefore, it has affected the confidence of that person. So by that creation, your confidence is affected. You get somebody from Europe, even blacks, our own people who have lived in Europe and America, they come to you, they tell them free, they talk, they go here, they're able to express, I want to join this. But you get a typical African and then seemingly he's dull. It's not coming up very strongly. It is lack of confidence by the unavailability of the opportunities which others had. But if you all know aeroplane, we know airport, if you have seen cars, we can easily travel, we can enter Chinese restaurants, confidence will come. If you go to a restaurant one day, somebody brings somebody who has lived there for a long time and is showing signs of no confidence of adequately eating in the place, it is not the person's fault. There's an opportunity which was not available to the person. And therefore, we should create equal opportunity possible so that you build confidence. So most women are not confident because of the societal creations. And by so doing, they will get more of role models. They will see it's possible. Others are doing it in all states. How come in Ghana, We get a Chief Justice a woman, NCC Director a woman, first Speaker of Parliament who was a woman, and then we are talking loud. It is because we thought it's an achievement. But should that be? When we all have right to be there? But we are told we have to go to Switzerland and then talk on what is called the CEDAW, Commission of Elimination Against All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, United Nations, and talk through that one. Now this just function, they will talk what is called CSW, Commission on the Status of Women. That's what they're going to discuss. It is because confidence is not there. So if you invite, the person will try to, if you do some of the men, you have to coerce them, do a lot of them to get them to come to programs. It is not their fault. Opportunity, availability. So let's create more opportunity so that more of them will now see that, oh, there's no more stereotyping, so we can also go because this my lady is there.
So are we reserving a certain percentage for the
system.
women?
In some areas, it's called proportional representation. In some areas, it's called proportional. Women are 51%, men are 48.7%. So proportion, even in proportional, the women should be slightly over the men. But that's why it's called a quota system. The quota is that after discussion, after parliamentary, it's going to be a percentage reservation. So if Joy happened to be a public board, employment one side, but even on the board has been appointed to say that then if your board membership is at 11, there may be, if it's agreed, it's a 30% should be women. Go look for the women. They should be women, that's all.
Okay.
So if you want competency, go for competency women, but they should be women. That is what the issue seems to say. So it's a quota system the bill seems to address.
Okay, but this is not new because in 2002 there was a certain policy to get about 30% of women in governments.
Yeah.
What has happened to that?
There's a difference between a policy and a law. And when it becomes the law, it's enforceable. And every law has its upside. If you don't enforce it, there are reprieves you have to see from court of not enforcing the law. If the policy is not part of a law extracted, it becomes a matter of goodwill. It's like what is used in football as fair play.
Yeah, but this is government enforcing all.
And this is why I'm saying that the law is enforceable. You know, governments can be taken to court to enforce laws. So the point is that...
But nobody forced governments to decide on this.
No, if government is committed, why is it being done? When the ministry is doing something, it is because the executive, headed by the president, wants it to be done.
But I'm thinking that we would have given ourselves a perfect example with that 30% thing that we gave ourselves.
No, we've done a little bit of up. In fact, I should give you the statistics. We've done a little bit of up, but we are still not there. And we all need to collectively agree to go forward. So
in other words, I guess what I'm asking myself is, would we achieve this, whether it's a law, it's a policy?
We'll have to achieve it. We need to first understand that the gender equity gap is huge. We have to understand that we need to fill that gap. We need to understand that we created that gap, and therefore it's our responsibility to fill it. Now, to me, if there are opportunities for everywhere, at every place, that would be the best thing to do. You understand? And if you want a good example, you remember if you go and meet somebody at a secondary school, even now, he qualified from a village to a secondary school in town, and then you also lived in Accra to the same secondary school, you know what you're going to realize at the first time? Confidence level. The person has maybe not used WC before. The person cannot really assimilate, talk to people nicely, and play around. You see always a reservation. By giving 1 year, now that opportunity is there, you start seeing a change in the character of that person. Our confidence level is burdened. Just because he had the opportunity to be in that setup. So let's give people the opportunity to be there, and you see the change in their lives.
Are we starting something with the basic schools, for instance? Because what we want to do, for those of us who are old, we're already here, and we're facing these challenges. But for those coming up, is there something that we're trying to instill in them from that low level? That's wonderful. I had a huge experience because I was in Obuasi as a chief executive, and the experience was wonderful. The last BEC, that was 2010, 2011. In 2010, the women were almost equal to the men in BEC. In 2011, they took over the men, and that was very great for me. I remember somebody, a student, like you are saying, told me something I had not really observed. So, but do you know that, I don't know what is happening now, even in the schools, they had the school prefect and they had the guest prefects. Yeah. Oh, so it's true. No, it is true, but during my era, it got changed,
right.
except that it was not accepted.
Wonderful.
Because I was the head prefect.
Okay.
But it was so easy for people to think you are the girls' prefect.
Wonderful. So that is the picture we are painting.
Yeah.
So how come? Because yours became a challenge. Because earlier on they knew school prefect to be boys, and the girls prefect to be girls. So it took a process to come to that level. Acceptance became a problem. It was transitional. So some of you were going to suffer in that school. Now it has normalized in your school because the opportunity has continued. If you don't, you are going to cow them off. And if you have not ventured, who was going to do it for you? If the opportunity to go to that level was not there, who was going to? So let's create opportunities for all.
So is there a conscious effort by the ministry?
Yes, by the government.
Okay.
You are the government.
All right.
Yes.
I want to have another sit down with you. I'm not done with you yet. But because of time, we have to go.
That would be wonderful.
But I want to say thank you, really. I've loved the angles where you've come from. Yeah. And I like it when men know about women issues. I love it that way.
Don't you too?
Thank you.
We create a lot of problems.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Okay. All right. So that's my special guest, John Alexander Akon, the Deputy Minister, Gender, Children and Social Protection. Beautiful conversation. Next time, we'll get you involved. Stay with us.